from the Lakeside Newsroom of the Henrico Citizen, your hometown news source since 2001. This is the Henrico News Minute with publisher Tom Lapis.
An urgent call for action from the chair of the Henrico Board of Supervisors and Henrico's $4.6 billion infrastructure list. We'll tell you about those stories and more in today's Henrico News Minute. It's Friday, March 22nd, 2024. It's brought to you today by Speech Connections.
And now for the news.
Henrico Board of Supervisors Chairman Tyro Nelson yesterday asked Henrico schools leaders to put an end to the, quote, same old story, end quote, of achievement gaps between schools in the West End and those in Eastern Henrico. Nelson's comments came during a joint session between the Board of Supervisors and School Board as part of the Supervisors' annual budget review process. Nelson has represented the Varina District since 2012. He emphasized the stark difference between last year's SOL assessment pass rates in the Varina and Fairfield districts, which often hovered around 30 to 50%, and those in Western Henrico schools, which often were around 70 to 90% or higher. Said Nelson, quote, when I look at SOL pass rates 2022 and 2023, I don't even want to read them. They're embarrassing. This is 12 years of me saying the same thing. I'm begging you all, focus your attention on getting our East End schools up, end quote. Superintendent Amy Cashwell said that while she's not satisfied with the lower test results at certain schools, she thinks the division is successfully, quote, moving the needle, end quote, by funding more wraparound supports for students like placing attendance officers in certain schools with high truancy rates and more substitute teachers in schools with higher vacancies. Said Cashwell, quote, many of our schools have pervasive challenges. We're seeing the most chronic attendance issues in those schools, and we need our families to be part of the solution, getting their kids to school. We've got some community issues around youth crime and violence that impact some of that achievement data, end quote. You can read a full report from yesterday's meeting from our education reporter Leanna Hardy later this morning on henricocitizen.com. During the next 10 fiscal years, Henrico County's capital improvement needs are estimated to total about $4.6 billion. That's according to the county's fiscal year 2025 to 2034 capital improvement program. Of that amount, county officials estimate that they'll need about $2.2 billion for transportation projects and about $863.1 million for education projects. The county uses the CIP as a guide to plan for projects that typically will require significant investments and take more than 1 year each to complete. They prioritize certain projects from that list and begin funding some of them through the county's capital budget 1 year at a time. Last week, the county's planning commission heard details about the $540 million in project requests for the coming fiscal year, about $327.1 million of which are proposed actually to be funded. Among those slated for funding, $122.3 million in education projects, including the $79 million replacement of Quioccasin Middle School, nearly $120 million for water and sewer projects, and $5 million for countywide pedestrian improvements. You can read much more about the capital project needs right now on our website, henricocitizen.com. Well, in December, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin said Virginia should modernize its tax code by taxing all digital goods and services, suggesting that would bring the state an extra $714 million in revenue over the next 2 fiscal years. Now Youngkin is attacking Democrats for taking his idea and running with it in a different direction that he says he didn't intend. Youngkin's plan would have also included a number of broader policy changes, such as a 12% reduction in the state's personal income tax rate and a bigger earned income tax credit to benefit lower income workers. The Democratic crafted budget that passed the General Assembly this month, with some support from Republican lawmakers, included the new digital tax but not the tax cuts. Youngkin has vowed to remove all tax increases from the approved budget. That's a move that could also involve undoing some of the Democrats' increased spending on K-12 schools and raises for teachers and state employees. You can read much more about this issue right now on our website from our partners at Virginia Mercury. We've reached the end of the week, so that means you can check our website for 5 great things happening around town today and this weekend as part of our Weekend Top 5. Before you head out to your favorite restaurant, check out our weekly restaurant watch. It'll give you a list of restaurant inspection reports from some of your favorite places in the county. So we hope you enjoy the weekend. Speech Connections offers pediatric speech therapy services at their office in Henrico, in daycares, preschools, private schools, public schools, and via teletherapy. Their dynamic team provides individualized and family-centered speech therapy services for toddlers, preschoolers, school-age children, and adolescents. When you work with Speech Connections, you get a team that is ready to provide the highest standard of care while collaborating with families and other professionals. To learn more, visit speechconnections.net or call 804-672-8588.